Live. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 105 of the Co-op Podcast. We know that we've been away for a little bit of time. There's been quite a bit going on, and today's cast is very, very light. I have with me Gary A. Swaby. How you doing, Gary?
Hey, what's up? I got a bit of flu at the moment, but I still had to make it on the show and everything. It's good to be back. Episode 105. Let's get it popping.
That's right. And once again, as he just said, he has the flu, so that shows some dedication. For those of you that have been asking about where the others are at, well, everyone has conflicting schedules. Everyone is not able to be on the show every single time. Now, obviously, perhaps the next episode will have even more people on the show, but it all depends on if people are actually able to make it. A lot of people tell us they can't make it. We try to change and cater it to a time that they can make it, and they still can't make it. So for those of you that would like to see, Anthony Frazier on the show, you like to see Charles on the show, definitely go ahead and let it be known. You can hit them up and let it be known in the comment section, and hopefully the next time we'll be able to get them on. All right. So with that said, though, I wanted to ask Gary. So what have you been playing these days, if anything?
Oh man, pretty much the game of life. But I did manage to start the Game of Thrones episode one. I didn't get to finish it, unfortunately, which is a shame because it's such like a short game. Like the episodes are like 2 hours max. But I only managed to play like the first character, and so far it was shaping up to be like really exciting and everything. So I can't wait to get back on that. I know episode two is coming very soon as well. So yeah, definitely excited for that. And I've also been playing a bit of GTA 5 as well. Just because that game's easy to pick up and play. Like even when you haven't got much time to get into something, you can just pick it up and run around for a few minutes at a time. So I played a bit of that, and that's pretty much it, really. Just the game of life.
Well, I know all about that game because that's an everyday game. You gotta be very careful how you play that game. You don't want it to be game over. So I
Yeah.
understand that. As for me, what I've been playing, well, I've been playing quite a bit of stuff. I've gotten a chance to play Saints Row Gat Out of Hell. My review is on the website right now for those who haven't seen it yet. I would just like to say this, it's a pretty decent expansion. It's a standalone expansion pack for those who don't know. I thought it was okay. The story is pretty entertaining, funny. Not on the same level of Saints Row 4 or any of the other games. But again, you have to keep in mind this is an expansion pack. Graphically, the game does not look any different on this console than it does on the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 4. Of course, if you have a PC, it looks excellent. But I played it on Xbox One, and it just looks okay. You could tell this is a last-gen game, which it was because it was ported over to the more current consoles. But overall, still a fun game, running around the city, killing demons, stuff like that. So I have no real major complaints about the game. It's good. It's pretty decent. Another game that I've been playing, and I'm actually writing a review now, and the review will be on the site by the time this podcast goes live. WWE Immortals.
Oh wow.
Now, let me just say this right now. A lot of people will look at this game and they'll be like, "Oh, this is garbage. This looks absolutely horrible." But here's the thing, the whole idea that NetherRealm had of taking the Injustice framework and putting WWE characters in it, it's a very good idea. In the game, if you ever played the Injustice app that they had for the game, it's pretty much is the same thing. It's touch controls on your mobile device because you can play it on the iPhone, the iPad, or your Android device. But overall, it's just straightforward, touch fighting on your iPad. It does not have a story mode, and that right there, a lot of people will be like, well, what's the point of playing? But the whole point is, you're supposed to play, beat up other characters, you build up your skill level, so on and so forth. And it's just funny to see how they represent certain wrestlers in the game. You have Roman Reigns as a Roman general in the game, which makes absolutely no kind of sense. You have John Cena as a superhero slash Superman, Super Cena, if you will, character, which is pretty ridiculous.
That sounds accurate.
Oh yeah, that is accurate. And then you have someone like The Rock playing like a rock creature. Um, Sort of like a god, I guess you could say. I mean, it's pretty funny, entertaining game. They have little finishers they can do. The signature moves are the moves they actually do in the ring, which is cool. My only complaints about the game is they have a very limited roster. You will not see any of the other wrestlers that people care about in this game. You will not see Dean Ambrose in the game. You will not see Seth Rollins. But Roman Reigns is there because that's WWE's guy right now, so he got to be in there. Um,
Uh, he's the guy until he gets booed. And then, then
well,
we'll have the whole company worrying about
no, but
him.
Vince McMahon will still force him down everybody's throat, regardless. You know this. Um, but overall, like I said, it has limited roster and it's very repetitive because they have the same backgrounds and so on and so forth, and it's the same characters you're fighting again against over and over again. However, if they do updates to this game and they support it, it can be even better than how it is if they add more wrestlers to it. I don't think they're going to have time to do that because they're on Mortal Kombat now. So, but for those that definitely want to try it out, I mean, it is free. You can't lose nothing by trying it out for free. Try out.
Yeah, I might try it out too. I got an iPad, so
Oh yeah,
okay.
no, you should try it out and yeah, let me know what you think. And anyone who's listening to this interested, definitely try it out and let me know what you think and whether or not you think I'm crazy when I say it's a decent game or because like I said, it keeps it simple. There's no story. It's just the fighting stuff, and that's fine with me because they're not trying to do too much. So,
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the Batman game they got on iPad, which I actually tried that game out.
uh-huh.
And it's just Batman fighting enemies, but it's still a good game, and it's kind of like an RPG because you unlock stuff, and Batman gets better and everything after every fight. So it's for a small little mobile iPad game, it's actually pretty solid. So I imagine that it's quite like that.
Hey, that's cool. Well, I definitely, I never got a chance to play that Batman game, so I probably should check that out. But yeah, this game is it's not bad. It's okay. Um, Aside from that, yeah, that's the gist of the main two games that I've been playing. I did play the Evolve beta some time ago. I did write impressions about that, which are on the site now. There's a companion app that I'm actually about to play later on tonight to see how that is. But overall, that pretty much sums up what I've been playing. Um, so we can jump right into a few news topics. We're going to try to cover as much as possible. I don't really recall every single detail um, that happened this week. Most of the more important ones, but I'm going to try and cover as much as possible. So let's go ahead and let's start talking right at the top. What's going on with the PlayStation Vita? Now we do recognize that this week there was a couple of apps that disappeared from it. Of course, you had YouTube, and of course, Near and Maps. Now, granted that these are not really that important on the Vita device, there's a lot of people that's now believe that because of all this going on, that the Vita is a failure, is unsuccessful, or it's headed down a very dark path from here on out. So, before I give my thoughts on what's going on with the Vita, I got to ask you, Gary, what do you think of the Vita? You have a Vita, so are you happy with your purchase of the system? Oh, technical difficulties?
Yo, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so I actually bought my Vita secondhand. So I'm not disappointed too much, but I am disappointed by the lack of support for it because it's great technology and everything, and I feel like companies should support it more with original games that we don't see anywhere else. But unfortunately, it has no direction right now, and that's why you see these. I mean, I'm guessing Sony has to pay a license fee to have YouTube and all those apps on there. So, they're probably taking it off there because nobody's really using it. So it's just a sign that the Vita is kind of useless right now. And I don't even think people use it, with their PS4 like people believe. Because I know that became the new selling point for the VR, the fact that you can play your PS4 remotely, but I don't see anybody doing that. So yeah,
Well, I like to say this. I do agree with what you said about them taking the apps off, and they really didn't see it as being useful. There were some people, as I said earlier, there's some people that were speculating that this is a sign that the Vita is the end of the Vita. Well, in my mind, it's already the Vita is already over. It's the ship has sailed on the Vita because Sony did not ever support this device the way they needed to support it. Now you can argue about the JRPGs that are on the system, which is good, but these are not games that cater to every single person that has a Vita. Those that are interested, perhaps maybe they would be like, yeah, I disagree with you, but 100%, I think that they have not been supporting this thing since day one. Some of the games they had at launch were okay, but here is a sign that I would say to someone who will question me in the comments section. Look at the games they released. Look at the fact that a lot of those games were made by other studios other than the studios that originally make the games. You didn't see Naughty Dog trying to make a Uncharted specifically for the Vita because they were focused on the PlayStation 3 at the time. And quite frankly, you don't see too much of that now, with the exception of the Killzone game that was made by Guerrilla. That's really the only game that I can recall was actually made by the development team that actually had a lot to do with the franchise. So
yeah, yeah, you're right. Um, you hit the nail on the head there. It's like Sony, they saw the Vita as a secondary platform to begin with. So, they had these secondary teams working on the games. And if you treat your platform like a secondary platform, then that's where it's going to be. And, it's going to get overshadowed by the consoles. If you look at Nintendo and the 3DS, it's not really seen so much as a secondary console because you can even say that it's the dominating piece of hardware for Nintendo right now. If you really wanted to look into it, I'm pretty sure it is. So they don't treat it like a secondary platform. They treat it like an independent platform. It's its own thing, and that's what Sony failed to do with the Vita.
it's absolutely true, absolutely correct. I mean that pretty much is the gist of it all. Now, with that said, perhaps they can do more with the Vita, providing just making more software for it. The indie games. Again, I don't count those games because they're also on PlayStation 4 and some of them are on PlayStation 3 too. So I don't really count that. I would like to see some games specific to the Vita. And I would say even with Microsoft, the same applies to them as well. Because when I think about a game like Sunset Overdrive, I want that game to stay on the Xbox One. I do not want to hear an announcement later this year talking about now coming to PC. No, please do not do that. Because that system needs games specific to the Xbox One to convince people that, yeah, I should pick up an Xbox One. Doesn't have an issue with that with Sony. When they got Bloodborne, The Order 1886, those games are specifically on PlayStation 4. They will not be on another platform. They will not be on, anything else. So that's why I said Microsoft, I will hope to see the same with their own games. But that's another topic that I'm going to dive into later. Um, Pretty much that covers it for the Vita stuff. Um, I know that Jake James wrote an article about Nier that's on the site right now. For those of you that are curious, I never really used that app, so but the article is great. Um, but moving on to continue with a little bit of the Sony stuff, PlayStation also announced this week that they're going to now be bringing Spotify to PlayStation 4. Um, I like to say personally, I think that that is an excellent move. Now, I'm a Spotify fan, so I'm glad to see that that is being brought on there. It'll be used as an alternative to what they had set up before, which they are getting rid of. They needed to get rid of that because I didn't see the need for that service. But Spotify on there is popular among a lot of people. So I think that was a good move for them to get that on there. But what are your thoughts, Gary?
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I'm a Spotify subscriber myself, so to hear that I can now use it on the PS4 and I can use it while I'm playing games, that's very appealing for me. Um, as far as Music Unlimited, I never used the service, never wanted to use it. So, I mean, it's great for me personally, but it sucks for Sony that their music subscription service. I guess it failed. I guess that's the reason why they're using Spotify now. But it sucks for them. But I think it's great for everyone else. Because Spotify is the bigger platform, and they have more subscribers. And yeah, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, it's a good pickup for them to have that on there. A lot of people love the service. It does make me question, what's going on with with Microsoft and some apps that they particularly I want to see more apps on the Xbox One. I mean, I like using what's on there now, but there's a lot of other stuff that is missing still from there, and they really need to bring there. I don't know what the holdup is. I don't know what happened with the HBO Go stuff because I thought that that was supposed to start. That service was supposed to start this month, but I guess not. So, but still, Microsoft. I want to see more apps on there. Definitely that moving forward.
Yeah, especially because that's how they kind of pitched the Xbox originally. Like it was going to be like this box that kind of does everything. It has like all the major services. You can watch TV on it and all this stuff. So I'm surprised if they haven't, already got a lot of apps on there. I mean, I don't know what kind of apps and services you guys have in the US. I know like the main one for us is Sky over here, and then you have like BBC and stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure it already has that. But yeah, I'm surprised if they haven't already got a lot of the major apps. I mean, they've got the NFL one and stuff, right?
They do have the NFL one. They have Netflix, Hulu, a lot of some of that same stuff. They have the VH1 app on there for those that like to watch shows like Love and Hip Hop and everything else. They got that on there too. Um,
That's what's up.
I mean, they have like a lot of random apps, but they don't really have like, for example, one thing I loved about with the Xbox 360, game trailers. They always had an app where you can see the latest, shows and stuff like that. That's not on the Xbox One yet. Still, not sure why. It's on 360. It's been on 360 for quite a while, but I'm just curious why they don't have a lot of entertainment specific stuff to the console on the console, and this is supposed to be the main entertainment console. So they got to improve with this stuff. Um, Granted that you could say the same about Sony not having too many options as far as the apps are concerned, but then they said in the very beginning when they released the PlayStation 4 in the campaign, it was for the players, and they made it very clear that they were going to be specifically focused on gaming, even though they brought the entertainment stuff in there after the fact. But they made it
Yeah,
clear that it was all about games, so it is what it is.
I think Microsoft kind of got confused what they wanted to do along the way because when they did go the whole TV entertainment route, they got all that bad backlash and everything. So, and then they saw Sony's approach focusing on the games and everybody was just eating it up. So I guess, along the line somewhere, they kind of wanted to just focus on games as well. And that's why there's been a lack of focus on the entertainment side on the Xbox One.
That
Uh,
that I really do regret that that was the decision they decided to make because I wanted to know. what the long-term plans were when if they would have launched this thing exactly as is, whether or not they would have had stuff in place to make everything else better, or whether they were just really going to try to screw people out of, saying what it was. I mean, I don't know. We'll never know because they changed direction. So hopefully, there won't be any other surprises. But you never know. You never ever know. The Xbox One is now 350, and they did not ever say when that price will go. Well, they just said it's for now. That's what the price is. So I would not be surprised if later on this year, maybe E3, they say that that's the price and it's going to stay at that price. I think it should stay at that price personally because they'll have nothing to lose by keeping it at that price. They can only gain from that. But again, I'm not an Xbox analyst, so I'm not going to say what they need to do, and they won't listen to what I have to say, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, that would be my thoughts on that. So moving on from that topic, there was a few little bit of things that happened this week. Let's dive into one topic that at PAX South last week. Charles went to PAX South. Unfortunately, he's unable to be here today to talk about it because he's actually working right now. But PAX South, they announced that Borderlands, they are starting to work on Borderlands 3. They're starting to think about this game. One thing that they also announced in that panel, which I did not like, is how they have the Handsome Collection, which was announced some time ago. It was announced maybe I think about in between the time we didn't have a show. That was announced, and they pretty much said it will include Borderlands 2 and Borderlands the pre-sequel. Well, at that panel, they announced that they really really wanted to work on Borderlands 1, but they just they want it to be a situation where people will support this game, and then they will see the need to release one. My thing is, why is this called the collection, and then you don't have the first game in the series in the collection? That makes no
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, that makes no sense. Like, so basically, you're saying like we want you to support the collection that has just the second game and the pre-sequel before you get a collection that has those games plus the first game,
Yeah.
or do they plan to sell the first game separately, like, or something? Like, I don't get it.
Well,
It's
my guess is that that first game will probably be something. If it does ever come to PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, that will be a separate thing. I'm not sure how they intend to actually do that, but I just think it's a bad decision.
Yeah, that's a bad idea. Like, I don't understand. I mean, is it lack of budgeting or something? Like they don't have the budget to do another game, like to remaster another game or something like that?
See,
Like, why wouldn't you do it for this collection?
this is why I don't understand it, because they should have money to fund this as well. They're still getting money off of the fact that they're selling DLC, recently released or recently announced DLC rather, for the pre-sequel. So in my mind, they should be able to also have that first game come out as well with this collection. But I don't know how expensive that whole process is. I'm just saying it doesn't make sense to have a collection and then you only got two games, and everyone know full well there's another game that should be in that series. And no, I'm not talking about Tales from the Borderland. We're talking about the original Borderlands. So it doesn't make any kind of sense. But
Yeah. And if you go around saying that to people as well, like I'm sure a lot of people will just be like, "Oh, well, I might as well just wait until they remake the first one," and then because I'm pretty sure if they did do that, then later on there would be a full collection with everything anyway. So a lot of people would probably just wait for that.
that's true. Yeah. Well, that's probably is what will happen. We'll have to see. Um, one other thing I wanted to say real quick. Um, Kind of skipped over this particular topic. Uh, you know, I noticed this is a question I have for you because I noticed that they announced the PlayStation Plus games that are coming out in February. Um,
Yeah.
and of course they have Transistor coming out on PlayStation 4. Rogue Legacy, and then on PlayStation 3 you have Thief and Yakuza, and a Vita game as well, I believe. But here's my question to you, because
Hmm.
I felt this as soon as I saw this news. So now that we have an idea of PlayStation Plus and what they are offering for PlayStation 4 owners, does it even make sense to buy certain games on the PlayStation Plus store if you know that later on it can end up becoming free anyway?
You mean on like the just the regular PlayStation store, like
Oh yeah,
buying games?
oh yeah,
Um, I mean, no, I definitely wouldn't myself. Um, well, one, because I don't even trust buying games on the service anymore anyway,
yeah.
because it's so unreliable. You don't know if people are going to hack your details and stuff. And two, like you said, it's not worth it because it's probably going to come to PlayStation Plus, like especially at this point when it's still early on in the console's life cycle. It's
Yeah,
like a lot of the games that have already been released within the past year, they're going to start coming to PlayStation Plus now anyway. So
I mean,
yeah, I would definitely just hold off and wait.
you could just look at it. You just look. Last this month was the infamous First Light, another game that I know I bought. I know another one of our writers, David Jagno, also bought that game, and then I find out it's free. I said, "Oh, okay." And now a month after that, now you got Transistor. So
Yeah.
another game that I purchased. Now I'm not bitter about making the purchase early, but I'm gonna say, well, now no, I gotta be a little bit smart conscious. If I see a game that's coming to the system, I'll just wait and let it come to Plus rather than buy it, because it doesn't make any kind of sense anymore. Um, I understand they have to show that they are providing value with that to their customers. That's why they're doing that. But yeah, that's something that I did see, and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting. That's an interesting decision." But it is what it is. Um, but yeah, that was just a little brief thing I wanted to throw in there to get back on to a few other quick topics. Um, of course, for fighting game fans, they know that this week Mortal Kombat X they revealed Reptile and Ermac. Um, I don't know if you got a chance to see the videos, but I did want to have a question regarding some of these characters because well, I'm glad that they brought these characters back. Is there any character or characters that you want to see that you think they're missing that need to be in this game?
I'm glad they got Reptile. I mean, me personally, I want to see Melina and Katana. Like those are two of my favorites.
Oh
So,
yeah,
I'd love for them to be in the game. But, I know they're trying to introduce a lot of new characters in this one. And I can't remember if they're using the story from the last game,
yeah.
where everyone's dead and everything. But
Well, from what I understand, they're supposed to continue that, but it also is supposed to be taking place 25 years after that particular game. So I'm not really
okay.
I don't understand how they're going to explain that, unless it's going to be a time jump or something in the actual story.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, if they can bring back Reptile and Scorpion and Sub-Zero, I'm sure they could find a way to bring back Melina at least, because she's a monster as well. So yeah, yeah, I'd like to see those two really. But so far, it's looking to be pretty cool with with both the new characters and the returning characters that are already announced. It's looking pretty good. So yeah,
Yeah.
what do you think?
I think it's going to be interesting. I did hear about some of the new characters that are going to be in it. Um, but I still will. There's a couple that I would love to see. I would love to see them bring back, you know, Noob Saibot or maybe Smoke. Um, these are some characters that people really liked in the last game. Because the last game had a lot of really cool characters, but they just didn't. I'm just not sure how many of these characters, because a lot of people died in the last game as well. If you recall, at the end of that game, there was a lot of people that died, and then you had the question marks of it's a little confusing.
Yeah, damn near the whole roster died at the end. It's like, what the hell? How could they come back from this?
Yeah, so that's why I'm curious to see what exactly will be the explanation. Um, whether or not they are truly all dead, because they may bring back some of these characters again for the next one. But I mean, I guess we'll find out more details. I mean, the game is out in April, so now it's only about maybe about 2 or 3 months away from coming out. So there's probably gonna be more details that start to come out about the game, I would think. Um,
Yeah.
but we'll see, we'll see. But that's a lot of the little quick little news bits. One thing that I know you wanted to discuss. This is a main topic of discussion because there was an article that our executive editor Tony Polanco wrote this week that is a rather controversial article. I saw the comments, the people who had a lot to say about the article, and quite frankly, a lot of that stuff that was said in that article, there was some valid points made, but we need to discuss this because it's a very controversial. I don't really know how someone would feel about it, but just for those that don't know which article I'm talking about, Tony wrote an article regarding Uncharted 4 and Halo 5, and basically he made a point to say that basically he believes that Uncharted 4 has potential to outsell Halo 5. So, just because I wanted to get your opinion on this as well as I'm going to share mine, but what do you think of that article, some of the points that he raised, and, pretty much whether or not you think this is a true or false statement?
Okay. So so yeah, I mean, I'll start with the fact that, Naughty Dog, they've shot to new heights of popularity based on The Last of Us. That game alone kind of it gave them a lot of mainstream attention. Like, it was a really popular game and everything. And I think based on that game as well, they'll have a lot of new eyeballs on Uncharted 4. So so they're definitely, they're without a doubt, Uncharted 4 is going to sell a ton of copies, regardless. But I just don't see it outselling Halo. Like, Halo is like that. It's the blockbuster in gaming. Like, besides Call of Duty, it's like the number two blockbuster. It's that Michael Bay movie. Like, it's gonna, like, okay, Call of Duty is Transformers, and Halo is probably like Ninja Turtles or something. It's gonna sell regardless. You know what I mean? And Uncharted is, and as I said before, I believe that Sony's going to kind of tank this year as well.
Whoa.
Um, I truly believe that, the Xbox One is going to significantly outsell the PS4 this year, just because they have more, exclusives on the horizon, and the exclusives we know about that are dropping on the PS4, this year, besides Uncharted, aren't that great. Like, you have Bloodborne, which looks cool and everything. You have The Order, which looks mediocre. You have Until Dawn, which I know is trash. So, you know, um, I mean, it's going to be a different story by the time these two games come out. If you look at it now, it's easy to say, Uncharted 4 is going to outsell Halo. It's easy to say that now because, the PS4 has been outselling the Xbox One for the past year.
Yeah.
But what are things going to be like when these two games come out? I'm pretty sure the landscape is going to be a hell of a lot different. So, respectfully, I have to disagree with the article,
Ooh.
but, I definitely, got a lot of respect for Tony. And, that article, that was a great article as well. I saw it got a lot of attention, especially on Twitter. Like, my Twitter got blown up this week with a discussion between Torrance and Charles, and I can't remember what was that other guy's name. Um, I can't remember, but yeah, it caused a lot of this discussion. So, shouts to Tony for that article, but I definitely disagree on that. I just don't see Uncharted 4. I mean, the last Uncharted games, they haven't even they barely come close to Halo numbers. So yeah, I just don't see it happening.
Well, I would like to say it's unfortunate that we can't get Tony on to offer his rebuttal to what you just said. But one thing I will say is this: a lot of stuff you said is accurate. Yeah, Halo is a big deal, as is Uncharted. The one conflict, though, and this is why this is a serious issue here, is that, and I can raise my hand and say this: I picked up Halo, the Master Chief Collection, and it did not work, and it still does not work the way it needs to work. The matchmaking is a major issue. Now, when I played the Halo 5 multiplayer beta, I was able to get some matches in that, but again, there was issues with the matchmaking. So what I'm saying is that they need to make sure that when they launch Halo 5, that matchmaking has to be on point. Because if it's not on point, and that is the flagship franchise on the Xbox One, Microsoft in general, I don't care what anybody says, that's going to hurt them significantly. Regardless of the fact that they have Tomb Raider coming out, you got Quantum Break, and even though I know it's no release date, for those that are going to comment on this, I already know who you are, you know who I am. Uh, I already know a lot of these games don't have a release date, but they're coming this year because Microsoft has already said they're coming. You really think that they're not going to come out with Halo when they've been saying since the beginning in 2015? No, it's coming out this year, as is Tomb Raider, as is Quantum Break, because they said in a very recent interview that game is coming out this year. That's the goal they're going for now. And if they don't make that goal, well, we'll know about that sooner rather than later because E3, I'm pretty sure they'll have an update on where they're at with all these games. But
Yeah, I mean, to the people who want to use the whole argument about the Master Chief Collection not working and stuff, Microsoft know that, and 343, or I can't remember the name, but yeah, that studio, they know, they know this. They've gone through all the bad feedback, all the bashing and everything, so they know that they have to execute 100% with Halo 5,
yeah,
and they will, because like Microsoft, they felt that blood in their mouth. Like they know they've been up against the ropes. Sony had them up against the ropes, and now things are starting to change. They're gonna make sure that they do nothing wrong to change that, because they want, they're desperate for those sales. They're desperate for those numbers,
yes,
and they're gonna make sure that Halo 5 is perfect. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to be a better game than Uncharted 4. Like, me personally, I prefer Uncharted over Halo. That's me personally.
uh-oh.
But just looking at the numbers and, just analyzing the game and seeing what's happening, I just don't see Uncharted outselling Halo 5. And I think Halo 5 is going to be great for Microsoft. So,
Well, here's the
yeah.
thing, though. We already know that when it comes to Uncharted, pretty much any game that Naughty Dog makes, but Uncharted specifically, that is a console killer. So anybody that wants to buy a PlayStation 4 that hasn't bought one, they may be waiting for the Uncharted bundle that they know will get announced later this year, and they will pick that up. That will definitely be a console seller. Now, I will say this, based on what we saw from the PlayStation experience, yeah, Uncharted is Uncharted. There was a few little nuances here and there, but this looks like the same Uncharted I've seen, over the last three games.
Yeah,
Not to
you're right.
not to say it's a bad thing per se. There's some that like that, but what I'm saying is that no, I'm looking for a little bit more innovation, creativity, moving forward, and maybe if this is the last one, maybe you'll see that, and that's how they close it out. But what I'm saying is, for this series to continue, you guys see a little bit more innovation. The same goes for Halo. Now, like I said, the Halo 5 multiplayer beta was awesome. The last time I played multiplayer and enjoyed it that much, it was Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, and this is better than that because it's just better. It looks really good, 1080p, 60 frames per second. I mean, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, very competitive, like every Halo game is. So I think that'll be good. As far as the campaign and the other stuff that we don't know about yet, we'll have to wait and see on all that because that's a totally different situation. But as far as comparing both games, no doubt about it, they're going to be major sellers for both consoles. However, if you're going to really talk about the numbers and who is going to be pushing the most units, um, I don't know. I think that, yeah, I do believe that Halo has an opportunity to move a hell of a lot of units. Um, Maybe even outsell Uncharted. I mean, it depends on what more I see of Uncharted. Right now, Uncharted looks okay. It's not like this is the most impressive PlayStation 4 game I've ever seen. No, no. That game right now, the most impressive game I have seen all this year is The Witcher 3. And if that doesn't get Game of the Year, I will be very surprised because game looks fabulous. Um, and I'm pretty sure there are people in the comments that'll be like, "Well, wait a second, you didn't say a PlayStation 4 or Xbox One game." No, because it's on every system. I mean, all the games coming out, they have some people that say that they're going to be good, they're okay. The Order 1886, that game, I don't really know about that game. I know it looks good, but the gameplay may not be good, and if the gameplay isn't good, that's a problem. Bloodborne.
It's a poor man's Gears of War. That's what it's gonna be. Like it's gonna be Gears of War of this generation, but just not as good. Like
Oh
that's
yeah,
pretty much what it's gonna be.
and as others Inc. would say, yes, there's no multiplayer, no co-op. What
Oh, they took a huge L with that too. Like no, hardly anybody wants to play a single player game
but,
in that fashion anymore.
but you know what that is a sign of? That is a sign of basically developers trying to rush and get a product out because they need to actually make use of the console. I think that Sony told them, we need this game out. It was supposed to come out last year, you recall. It was supposed to be out the fall, and they missed that deadline completely. So Sony said, well, we want you to work on this game and get it out. Do what you need to do to get it out on time. So they probably didn't have the time to really explore the co-op.
If you look at the story of the Order 1886,
Uh-huh.
it looks completely boring. Like so they took an L by not having a multiplayer because the story in that game looks dead boring. Like you play that game for the gameplay pretty much and the pretty graphics. Besides that, it hasn't got much substance to it at all.
Oh, I don't know. The setting may not necessarily be boring, but yeah, the story issues are definitely it's we don't really know all the details. We know enough to say if it doesn't have the co-op, then that's a problem. Um, but knowing the studio, one thing that they will probably say to keep things safe, they'll say, "Well, this is intended to be a franchise. We can just put that in the sequel." So I'm pretty sure that is something that you probably will hear.
Well, let's hope people are still around for the sequel.
Well, we'll find out. We'll know sooner rather than later. Um, but yeah, I mean, if you just go through all the games that are coming out this year on both consoles, there's no doubt about it. And I have said this in the past on previous podcasts, and I stand by it. Anybody can complain and say, well, there wasn't no games out for both consoles. That ain't necessarily true because Microsoft had games out both holidays past. Last fall, they had Sunset Overdrive, Forza, Motorsport 2, and then you had Halo Master Chief Collection. Even though the game didn't necessarily work for everybody as it needed to work, that was another game that they had out. Now, the third parties, of course, those were the big winners because that was on everything. They have been ruling this generation with an iron fist. Now, I don't really know if I'm not really sure if Halo and Uncharted are going to be the games to effectively convince you and say, okay, yes, so Sony or Microsoft, they really changed the game when they released this game. I think it's going to be a game that's going to be a new game. Just like we had Mass Effect last gen, and that was the game to me that was a game changer for me personally. Now I can't.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I can't say that everybody would agree with that, but me personally, but I don't think that Halo 5 or Uncharted 4 is that game that is going to be a game changer in terms of
They're not.
like Mass Effect or BioShock, the original BioShock, not BioShock Infinite or two, but the original BioShock was, yeah, that was awesome. Um, but we have to see about that. That's a whole nother topic.
Yeah, man, the third party run things right now, and I mean the exclusive lineup on the Xbox One and the PS4. To me personally, it looks really weak so far. Especially this year, um, with obviously Uncharted and Halo being the high points of both, but still everything around that and between looks kind of lackluster to me. But third party, they have the best stuff coming up right now. And the best thing that Sony and Microsoft can do is try and secure, exclusive content for these third party games.
Yeah, yeah,
And, the third party companies, they're only going to grant those to the company that's doing the best numbers out of Microsoft and Sony. And, when you look at it right now, if you look into the future right now from where we at here, from where we're at here, um, it looks like Microsoft has the better exclusive lineup, especially for this year. So I just feel like the numbers are going to go that way. So by the time you reach E3, I feel like Microsoft are going to get the better exclusive content deals for these third party games.
see, I
And that's going to be a driving force in, Halo 5 selling more, for example. Like the numbers are going to just shift.
well, yeah, because I mean, take for example the Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. I'm not sure if you saw the Havoc DLC with the Exo zombies. Um,
Yeah.
that is on Xbox One now. Once again, that was a deal they had in place, just like the previous deals, where it's going to be on there, I think, for a month, and then eventually will come to PS4. When I saw that trailer for that DLC, I was like, oh hell yes, I'm gonna get it immediately. Then when I realized, oh, Xbox One. See, so those little third party deals, I understand it's a business. I'm not a fan of those deals, obviously, when it pertains to, because I think that we're in a time where, again, people, they want to compare, contrast. They want to make this a competitive thing between Microsoft and Sony, as understood, because that makes things fun. However, when they both make mistakes, and they both do make mistakes, you have to acknowledge both of them. You can't show favoritism and say, oh, well, like, take for example, once again, look at what happened this holiday with the Xbox Live outage and the place PSN. Now, granted, PSN, it took a hell of a lot longer to fix that issue because of other stuff that was going on with whatever the hackers did. But I see people leaving comments. They know who they are. Others Inc. was one of them, I believe, making comments saying, "Well, Xbox got their stuff together, and therefore you can't put them in the same boat as Sony." That's not true, because if both of them networks actually had their stuff together, they would be able to prevent stuff like this. Especially when the hackers make it known a week before Christmas, we're going to take down PlayStation and Xbox Live on Christmas.
Yeah. You know what? Like Xbox One owners should have been like even more mad than PS4 ones because on PS4 it's just a regular day, an outage is like a regular day for them. So they should be used to that by now. But on Xbox One, they should have been mad as hell because the service is always reliable and this is like the one time that it's down. So
And to make matters worse, whenever that issues like that come up, you can't do anything on the console. I recall turning on my brother's console. I couldn't do nothing. I couldn't watch anything on Netflix. I couldn't play a game. Nothing. That right there, no, no, you cannot allow that to happen. They need to get better with the security stuff. Because just think about it. I mean, this is not the first Christmas that this has happened. This has happened like almost every Christmas, even when the 360 was out, where there would be some type of live issue or some type of PSN issue right around the holidays. So they really need to try and figure out ways to better secure both networks moving forward, whatever they got to do. But yeah, I mean, getting back to that main topic, though, we'll see what happens with Uncharted. We'll see what happens with Halo 5. Like I said before, and I don't really care who quotes me. They can quote me if they want. and they can leave comments in this chat talking about it. But it's like I said before, Halo 5 and Uncharted, I'm pretty sure they'll be great games. Will they be game changers for this generation? I don't think so, because I think people want to see something different they wasn't expecting. Wasn't expecting a game like Mass Effect, and that blew everybody's mind. I can't think of one person that told me they don't like that game. So I don't know what that game is going to be this generation. I know it's probably not going to be either one of those games, though. That's for certain. Um, Quantum Break, I don't know. I just don't know. Bloodborne, nah, I don't know either. I mean, I just don't know. I heavily doubt it. But we'll see what happens. Um, we'll have to just
Yeah,
play it by ear.
yeah. I mean, the two games to look out for this year: The Witcher 3
Yeah,
and Metal Gear Solid: The Phantom Pain.
okay,
Those are the two games to look out for, in my opinion.
I agree with that.
So,
I agree with that 100%, especially with Witcher 3, because we've seen Witcher 3, and I remember E3 we went, we saw that, and every time I see that game, it looks better and better. So that's the game that I personally am looking forward to above anything else that's coming out this year. There's not don't get me wrong, there's a lot of great entertaining games coming out this year, but I'm talking about the games where you know this is a serious contender or something else. That Witcher 3 definitely at the top of the list. Um, so we'll see what happens. But was there any other topics you wanted to cover? I think
uh,
I covered the main ones that were of the utmost importance. I don't know if you had any comments for those that, because I know some people had some comments on the last podcast. They directed it at everybody. So
what you mean, the people in the comment section?
yes, they had a lot to say last co-op. So do you have anything to say to them right now?
Man, I can't even really remember what they were saying in the comments, but I know I saw others Inc. and Michael and those guys in there. So shouts to all of those guys because they listen every time, whether they're complaining or they're satisfied. They always leave comments and they always listen. So shouts to those guys. I would like someone to come on the show as well and challenge my views because it seems like I've upset people
Yeah,
with some of my most recent comments. I think Charles wanted to get on and challenge me, so I'm looking forward to when he has a chance at getting on the show again.
I
Yeah,
think you know what, and I'm glad you brought that up. I would love to invite anybody that has any complaints or they would like to have a debate about this stuff. They definitely should jump on the show at any time because I want to hear what their argument will be as to why they believe something else. I believe everyone is entitled to their own opinion, obviously, but obviously they have a lot to say because they always leave a lot of comments and a lot of long-winded comments as well. So yes, if anybody's listening to this, I invite you to the show. You let me know. You can hit me up. Hit me up by email or Twitter. You know, both of those will be on this post after this show is, once it gets posted up. For those that try to want to contact me, you let me know, and we will get you on the show to voice your opinion. But one
yeah,
thing,
man, we need to get more people on the show,
yeah,
definitely.
no, we no,
No,
we
no, go ahead. What was you saying?
no. I said yeah, we definitely will do that. But one thing I do want to say though, for those that they really make this whole thing about this console war. They really just want it to be a war always between Microsoft and Sony. Here's what I have to say about that. You have to acknowledge when both companies make mistakes. And then, if you just obviously do not like or you dislike a company so much that you will complain about every game that they release, well, maybe you just shouldn't say nothing at all. Because I know I was always told if you have nothing nice to say to anybody, then just don't say nothing. Um, I've seen people bash all type of Sony games, having not played it. They're just looking at it, the videos and all this other stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, why are they talking trash about it? I know you don't like it. Maybe they don't want to admit that they could be hardcore fans for one over the other. That's fine if you are, but you acknowledge that and leave it at that. I don't see the point of bashing the other because at the end of the day, in my personal opinion, if you are somebody who enjoys gaming so much, you're going to want to see what everybody has to offer. And at the end of the day, both companies are busting their asses to make sure that everybody that they're trying to outdo each other. Which in that case means we as consumers win because if we have multiple consoles, we get everything. So
Yeah.
that's the one thing that I would like to say, about because I know a lot of people. I look at the comments; they're just completely bashing all the Sony games. And I'm thinking to myself, and then yet when they also make a comment, they talk about Microsoft heavily, highly talk about one console over the other, which is fine. But acknowledge that you are someone that you are fully on board with one console and make it known. Don't go out there and then make those comments and then go out there and then just bash the other one to know it's to just to try and make a point. We see the flaws with all of these games. We're not showing favoritism to any games on this show. Never have we done that. Maybe in the past there was some people on staff that did, but I'm more mature now. I don't know about everybody else, but I look at things differently because again, multiple consoles. Plus, I own both consoles, so that's why I'm able to talk and criticize both instead of just making it just about one console. I'm not saying that to be a bad about anything. I'm just keeping it real, saying I talk bad about both, and I will praise both as well. But that's just how it is. Um,
Yeah, man. And with me specifically, I own the PS4 system, so yeah, obviously I want the PS4 to do good. I want Sony to do good and everything, but I've been disappointed in what I've seen so far, in my investment. So that's the reason why, I'm saying all these things I'm saying. It might sound like I'm hating on them or something. I'm not hating on them. I just want them to do better, So I'm just pointing out all the things that I'm seeing, really. And I don't own the Xbox One, but I can see that so far it's looking like they're in a position to take over, in terms of sales and stuff. So I'm just saying what I feel based on my experience with the system. And if the lineup looks more suitable to me in terms of the Xbox One, I might even consider getting one sometime in the future. But right now, I'm not a huge fan of their exclusives. I just know that they kind of look better so far than the PS4 exclusives. So
yeah,
that's just my take on it.
yeah, and
And plus a lot of Xbox One games are coming to PC anyway, and I'm a PC gamer, so
well,
you
yeah,
know, there's
that's
not really much reason for me to invest in an Xbox One right now.
yeah, that's the other thing. Windows 10, that would be a
Yeah,
big. Um, the last thing I was going to say to close out with what you said is that yeah, Microsoft is they're doing well. They're doing well. They're on track to do a lot better before the year is over. But again, we cannot acknowledge that they started out very rough. And I think people sort of forget this type of stuff. Of course, it's a race, and it's about how you finish, not about how you start out most of the time. But again, we cannot acknowledge like this company never made any mistakes. Every company makes mistakes. This is how you learn and grow from these issues and hopefully improve over time. This is what they're doing now. So
yeah,
they're in a position to do very well. It's going to be very interesting to see how Sony responds and Nintendo. I have to mention Nintendo because Nintendo having issues as well, but Nintendo's still doing somewhat okay. I mean, I think they're doing good enough. I mean, they're still around, so they have to be doing good. But yeah, again, it's going to be interesting to see how everybody responds to what one company is doing over the other. Because Microsoft is doing good. I give props where they're due, but we'll have to wait and see how everything goes. Even with the new technology they announced, all that other stuff. Yes, I have been watching, monitoring all this stuff, but I want to see what they do with it before I say, okay, it's going to be a game changer. Let's see how they use this technology to better their cause. So we'll see. But that's pretty much the gist of the topics for this particular week. Again, no, it's not very. We don't have a full cast because, as I said, everybody they had other things going on at the time, scheduling conflicts. But hopefully, episode 106 will have a lot more people on to say a lot more because I'm pretty sure there will be a lot more comments after this episode.
Oh
Um,
yeah, and shouts to Killer Cap, aka Anthony Frazier, because he actually wanted to be on this show too.
yes.
I saw he left a comment as well. He wanted to be on the show. It's just that our schedules didn't align correctly. So yeah,
I
but
will,
we
and I will say this. I know that the last episode I promised that we would be every week. I'm not going to make that promise. Although I will say this, I will make sure that the next podcast will try and get those people on that everybody wants to hear their opinions on the subject, because I also want to hear their opinions on the subject. Um, but with that said, we definitely will be here next week. I'm pretty sure of that because we've already set up some arrangements. So we'll definitely look forward to talking to everybody next week. For those that are Shout out to all the fans that continue to support the site. Shout outs to everybody that's leaving the comments. I get a kick out of all you guys' comments, even though some of y'all try and point fingers at me and try to accuse me or try you listen to something negative I say, even though I said positive stuff and then talk specifically about the negative stuff. I'm not going to say names. Y'all know who you are, but I got love for all of y'all. So keep it up. But yeah, shout out to the fans. Um, I want to give a shout out to the Throwdown. Everybody on the Throwdown, they've been doing an excellent job on the site. Keep up the excellent work. Baby in the Beard, which is out today. For those of you who don't know, we are recording this on a Saturday. So if you're a comic fan, definitely check that out. And of course, last but certainly not least, check out Knights of the Turntable in the Arena podcast. I've been on Knights in the Turntable for the last 2 episodes. I'll be on there again next week. But check it out. If you're a hip hop fan, we get into some very funny, entertaining, and enlightening conversations. So you definitely should check that out as soon as you get a chance to. You'll enjoy it. I assure you that. Um, and Gary knows all about the arena. That's his show. So
Oh
definitely.
yeah, I'm definitely gonna try and have another episode of that for the battle rap fans. Pretty soon because Blackout. I think it's either next week or the week after. The King of the Dot event. And that's a big card right there. A lot of legends on that. So I'll try and see if I can fit in an episode at some point. So yeah, look out for that.
Sounds good. So once again, this is episode 105 of the Co-op Podcast. Thank you all for listening. We'll be back again next week to talk about a lot more stuff. In the meantime, you all have a great evening. Make sure you enjoy that Super Bowl tomorrow if you're going to check it out. Yeah, keep gaming.
Yeah, good night, people. Peace.
Peace.